There's nothing more inspiring than hearing real people overcome real challenges to get the results they want, especially when those are the same results you'd like to see in your own life. That's why in this special bonus episode, we are going deep with an amazing woman named Tammy Weiland, who's lost more than 60 pounds since first starting our program, and who did it right alongside her husband. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast brought to you by Thinlicious. I'm your host, Ruth Sukup, and here we'll talk about everything from the science of weight loss to practical tips for making your health a priority in the midst of a busy life. It's a little bit nerdy, a little bit funny, and a little bit revolutionary. So buckle up, friend, because it's about to get real. Hey there, and welcome back to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruth Sukup, and I'm the founder of Thinlicious and the creator of the Thin Adapted System, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of 7 books. And in this special bonus episode, we are taking a deep dive into what transforming your life through adopting the Thinlicious lifestyle actually looks like by sitting down to chat with one of our amazing clients and now TAS certified coach, Tammy Weiland. Tammy first joined our program in 2022 and has lost more than 66 pounds alongside her husband, who has also lost close to 50 pounds. Suffice to say, our program has changed both of their lives and revived their marriage in the best possible way. But honestly, it's better to hear her talk about it in her own words. So here's what she had to say. Tammy, thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Hey, Ruth, it's good to see you. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yes. So let's just start kind of at the beginning or with the basics. So who are you? What do you do? How did you come to be in this world?
So I'm Tammy. I'm Tammy Weiland. Now I'm known in your world as Tammy with a Y. And my husband and I started Thinlicious we planned to start. We did our own phase 0 before there was a phase 0. So we sort of took us a long time to get started over the summer in the very beginning with dysfunction, and there's going to be this party and this vacation. So we finally jumped in September, and I did the program with my husband, which made a huge difference. And so I'm 60. That September, I turned 59, and my husband's a couple years older. And we just had slowly gotten slow and overweight. And, it just had happened. I wasn't a person that did yo-yo dieting. I just kept slowly gaining weight. And, so we got started with the program, and and we'd never done anything like that before, particularly together. And it was good from the very beginning. We were really feeling good.
Yeah. So I love that you did it with your husband, because I think that that's like, for a lot of people, right? Like there's always this like, I don't want to cook separately for my family. Like, how do I get my spouse on board? What do I do with my kids? Like there's all of this question of like, how do I make this work for my life? Because
Right.
I'm still a mom and I'm still married and I still have other people that I cook for or whatever. So how did that work for you guys? Like, did you have a conversation about it, or was he like enthusiastic about it from the beginning, or did you have to like bring him along? Like, how did that work?
I have to say, it's the first thing we ever did long term. I mean, like, we've done a Saturday afternoon project. It's the first thing we've ever done, made a commitment together in our lives. We've been married for more than 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
It's not really how we usually roll. And like, particularly, I have a son who has disabilities, and because he needs some assistance from us, we are in a schedule in opposing time zones. We kind of like, my husband goes to work a day, I stay home. I go to work a day, he stays home. And so that was a huge thing. And I have to say that philosophically, over my lifetime, I'm a dental hygienist. I speak with patients about nutrition a lot. I love healthy food, and my husband does too. So that was not a struggle for us. And I feel for somebody who really needs to change what they're doing and hates the food that they need to be eating. And so that's not us. Like, we like it all. We were just liking too much of it, and we just weren't moving as much. And
Yeah.
but I just am so uncomfortable about, I think, you've expressed this too, with children and really anybody around you, with having this negative connotation on food and dieting. And if you're doing something to do it to get healthy. And I think that was a big thing that I've observed with so many people in the group. As you said, people struggling to prepare food separately for family members and kids. And we've really talked with people about that. Like, don't tell somebody you're going to make them a keto Thanksgiving dinner. Like, you just make dinner.
Yeah.
So, but that was huge because we both knew we needed it. I needed it more than my husband. And of course, he lost the pounds more quickly than I did. He didn't have as much to lose. I felt sort of sorry for him because my weight loss was noticeable. It was more noticeable, and it was noticeable sooner than his. And, he was there, right there, working beside me,
Yeah.
and people weren't complimenting him. And it was also funny too. Like, we live in a rural, very traditional community, and there were men going to my husband saying, hey, like, is Tammy okay first? That becomes an issue when you're
Yeah.
older. You get nervous about saying something to someone that maybe there could be something going on. And like, not wanting to say something to me as a male, like not wanting to say, hey, you're looking really good. So they're saying it to my husband, and he says, and they didn't say, hey, you're not looking too bad yourself. That wasn't happening. That was pretty funny. I felt bad for him. But
Oh, that's funny.
I think sometimes, maybe if you have just a little bit to lose, maybe you want to fly under the radar. Maybe that was good for him a little bit. But
Yeah.
that was a huge thing for us. Working together, it was big.
Yeah. It is,
But
it
at the
is
same
huge.
Yeah, at the same time, we we entertain a lot. I love to cook. That makes it easier too, certainly, if you can make tweaks to things you already love. But
Yeah.
we served our food to other people, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes we bragged about it. But that made a big difference, both of us
Yeah.
doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's funny too, because a lot of times we see like the husband effect in our program, right? Like, the husbands aren't technically doing it with their spouse, but because they're eating all the same foods, they end up losing weight. And a lot of times it's not like your experience. It's like the guys lose it way faster and way easier, even when they're only like partially doing it, because men just typically tend to lose weight easier than women, especially women over 40, right? And so that's really interesting. And I've had that experience too, where we run into somebody that we haven't seen in a while, right? And they're all of a sudden like, oh, like, you look different. Like, they don't know how to say it. I've had that kind of like
Yeah.
awkward moment encounters with like men who don't want to say like, oh, you look really good, because that's not something that you want to say to somebody else's wife. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny
And
how
when
that
somebody's done
works.
something really dramatic, like, you hate to say, wow, you look great,
Yeah.
to imply you were looking pretty
You,
rough and you
you
needed
didn't
to
look
really get
so
it
good
together.
before. Yeah. I know. So you guys decided to do this together, and went all in. We're super successful. You were cooking at home and doing all of that. What was it that made you want to try this? Like you said, you were already like eating healthy. Did you learn that you were not eating as healthy as you thought? Or was it like, were there some surprises along the way?
I was definitely recognizing that I was becoming insulin resistant. And
Mm.
I have always in my life had sleep disturbances and will spend some nights without sleeping. So it wouldn't be unusual for me to be tired. And so I didn't think about it initially, but I started to recognize how I was really crashing after I ate carbs. And
Ah,
so I started watching my blood sugar and it was okay, but I wasn't doing it with real consistency so that I didn't have the history of numbers to look at. Like I wonder how I would have looked if I'd been testing consistently every day at the same time, following different meals. So I'd been sort of wondering about that. And it's funny because when I was 30, before I turned 40, I did a whole grain, no processed carbs, and a moderate amount of protein. I was exercising a lot. I was quite healthy. It was right before my son had his stroke. Like it was the whole year before that. Like it was such a blessing. I was strong, and I was mentally good, and I my body responded well to that. I was not postmenopausal,
yeah.
and I think that's the thing, you recognize how your body changes over time. And so I've been getting concerned about my blood sugar. I was, like each year putting on 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And so I'm in some of your other groups, and that's how I came to know about the program. We'd never done low carbs before, but I did recognize combining proteins and carbs together. Like that was something I was cautious about. I talk to patients who are diabetics a lot about so that processed carbs, like that information I had, but it it still was amazing, to think about how you can think you're doing something that's so good for you and how you can be just so off track.
So off. And sometimes it's not even so off. Sometimes it's just a little bit off. And that's what I think is like really, because people say that all the time, like, oh, I could probably just do that on my own. Like I listen to this podcast and I do certain things and I'm sure like I can get it. And it's hard to explain, but there's just certain things where that we've really dialed in on where you have to do things, the right things in the right order and not add too many things at once. And like it really is almost like the secret sauce that makes it work in a way that is really hard to do on your own. And then I think with this, like the additional support of the community and that piece is just like the icing on the cake for everything, because it really is like to be able to keep going and realize this is a lifestyle and you had your husband, but that's unusual for a lot of people, right? A lot of people
Yes.
don't have that same kind of support at home or with other people, or they even have people, like poo-pooing it or almost like
Yeah.
sabotaging. And we see that a lot too. And it's like, it's really sad, but it's amazing what happens when you have that kind of that support of like people who are right there, they get it, they've been there, they can show you the way. They're like, no, oh,
Yeah.
here's what's going wrong. Like it's so funny. I noticed that in the group all the time, and you probably do too. I mean, you're one of the people who's responding. It's like when people are like, oh, well, I'm doing this and this and this, and you're like, wait, nope, slow down, you're doing don't do things in the wrong order. And yeah, it's amazing. So what were your results like, because you had some pretty amazing results, and how quickly did it happen for you?
Um, so before I lost pounds, I started noticing how my clothes fit. And so that happened, well, immediately before there was weight loss. Within 3 days, I just had such clarity of mind. It was really amazing.
Wow,
And
3 days.
I didn't initially sleep better, I won't say. I did over time start having fewer sleepless nights, I go to sleep and then I wake up in the middle of the night. But what's been really interesting, I've been diagnosed with sleep apnea just a month ago with
Oh, wow.
atypical symptoms. And so my sleep did gradually get better. And I attribute that to a lot of things. The scheduling of our meals was a big deal. Like we work late, and a lot of times we were eating too late, and a lot of times we were eating big meals and then going to bed. But the first few days, like I didn't notice it, for 2 days, I didn't notice. By the third day, I remember thinking to myself that I just felt more alert and I hadn't really slept more. Like it was noticeable. Um, Before the first week ended, we live in a 2-story house, and I was walking down the stairs, and I'm like, I don't run down the stairs. I have heard too many stories of accidents on the
People
stairs,
falling down the
you know.
stairs.
And
Oh.
so I'm cautious about that. Like I think about what would happen
Mhm.
if I was there and, we had an emergency in our house. It's kind of front and center in my mind. I was halfway down the stairs and I realized that I just was moving faster. I don't have joint pain. I wasn't feeling miserable. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. And I think it just, it took that 4 or 5 days to start having some inflammation subsiding. And it was about 3 weeks before my weight loss started becoming consistent and predictable. And by 3 weeks in, I mean, by a weekend, we were so committed. Like both of us we really, like, we could not believe how good we felt. And
Wow.
my husband works 10-hour days and he drives an hour to go to work. So he puts in a long day, and we're just tired. And it kind of made sense to be tired, but it was really nice not to be so tired anymore.
Yeah.
And then I guess so I was chosen to join you in Miami. And at that point in time, I had lost 56 pounds, I think, 54 pounds, 56 pounds,
Yes.
which was huge. And then I sort of plateaued over that summertime, just, doing stuff like I could, my numbers stayed good if I, went off the rails a little bit. And it was just easy to do that. Like at a meal, you could choose something that worked for you and get back on track the next day. And so since then I've lost 10 more pounds. And
Wow.
yeah, and it's been easy. And I've been not really, really strictly compliant. And we're about to get back at it again, just
Okay.
cleaning
So you
stuff
still
up.
you
And
still want to lose more weight.
yeah, yeah. I feel like probably it's hard for me to know. Like you hear other women in the group saying that, like when you've had the weight for a long time, you sort of don't know what's healthy for you anymore,
Yeah.
where you should be. But I think I
Yeah.
probably still should lose probably 15 more pounds. I think maybe 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I think you look great. I thought you looked great last summer.
Thanks. Thanks. I feel good. I just
Yeah,
feel
if you're
good.
listening to
It's
this right
like,
now, Tammy's in on our website. I think she's like right out. If you go on the website, she's like front and
yeah,
center, and she looks
it's so
amazing. She has her
fun.
before and after picture there, and yeah, like it. And it really is. It's funny too because I have had sort of that same experience. Like now that I've been in maintenance mode, I'm not actively trying to lose weight, but it also I'm not gaining, and then I'll like go through little phases, and all of a sudden I'll weigh myself, and I'll be like, oh, I'm down a couple of pounds, and then it just kind of like it's gone like I've also lost about another 10 pounds past what I was initially trying to lose. And it's just so nice to know that you like when you heal your body, it works for you, right? Like you can be as strict or as not strict as you want. And I'm not at a point now where I really want to lose any more weight. So I'm purposely not like ultra strict
Right.
about it because
All
that would
in.
be like food disorder, right?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, like if you want to take a break and just kind of live your life for a while, you have that option when you've really gone through the program and done the stuff, reversed your insulin resistance, and it's so cool. So what advice would you give somebody who's just starting out? Because now you're a coach in our program. You went through our certified coach program, which is very intense, and you're very well versed, and you've been an amazing coach in our program.
Thanks. Thanks.
So what's your best advice for people who are just like either thinking about getting started but kind of nervous, or just in the beginning stages? Like, what do you know now that you wish you would have known?
I think you just have to start. I mean, that definitely, I have just been that way with a lot of things in my life. Like just getting started is my problem. Once I get going, it's okay. And so it's a lot to learn. I think I'm real pleased about the way we're kind of changing that prep time for people, especially if somebody hasn't ever adjusted the foods that they're eating. It's really a lot to learn, but you just have to get started and give yourself grace. You'll figure it out. It takes a long time to figure it out. It's a lot of information. If somebody doesn't have some kind of a health or a nutrition background, the tech of it, it's a lot. But you don't have to do it all today.
Yeah.
And you get started and so quickly you'll feel well and then and I think that's the thing for women that have been unhealthy in their goals for changing their diet. It's really been cosmetic. It's been about their appearance, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but you start this program and you feel good sooner than you look good. I didn't look great in 3 days, but you feel good. And so if you can
Yeah.
get somebody just to get started,
Yeah.
then you can rein them in and get them on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is it's so true. Like there are a couple of things out there. Like, first of all, like you do it like, I don't know, I started for totally superficial and cosmetic reasons, right? Like I did
Yeah.
not like the way that I looked. I saw that
Yeah.
picture of myself. I was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
no more. But you stick with it because number one, the food is amazing, right? Like you never have to feel deprived. You never feel like you're
Yeah.
missing out. Like it's so good. It's so nourishing. It's so satiating. You're so like full all the time. And then the feeling good is the part that it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. Oh my gosh, my joints don't hurt. Oh my gosh, I don't have headaches every day. Oh my gosh, I don't have heartburn anymore. Oh my gosh, like all these things that I didn't even know were holding me back
And I
besides
don't have
just
to eat 5 times a day. I
and I'm
don't have to
not
keep
thinking about food
eating.
all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was controlling your every
Yes.
day. Like, what if freedom that is to not have to prep 3 meals a day and
Exactly.
grocery
Exactly.
shopping for
Mm-hmm.
junk food.
When you don't even think, you don't realize how much time you spend thinking about food and then thinking about like, when's the next time I'm going to eat? And oh, what am I going to eat? And oh my gosh, I'm hungry. And then going to the fridge. Like when you free up that amount of time in your
Yeah,
life, you're what am I going to do now with all my free time?
yeah,
Because it
yeah.
is an insane amount of time. So I love that. So what made you want to like take the next step to become a coach in our program?
I Well, I had to say, initially in the program, I did not really participate a lot on Facebook. I was good. Like I had the material, I understood the material, I knew what to do. I did not have people beating me up at home, and I would
Yeah.
see these posts on Facebook, just people getting grief about what they were doing when they really needed to make a dramatic change. Like let's make a change, give somebody kudos for trying to do better.
Yeah.
And we all have to get to where we're going in our own way. And so I really I was commenting initially just to be supportive. And people expect things to be this straight line, and they get concerned or frustrated when their numbers are wandering back and forth and they feel like they've done everything right. And so people just needed the support. And it's something, to a degree, that is what I do at work. I mean, it's the most important aspect, and the aspect of my job that I enjoy the most. I like helping people. And so it just really came naturally for me. And so when you decided that we knew you were going to need coaches. Like I mean, we didn't know, how that was going to come to be, but it was getting busy,
Yeah.
and so just hoped that that
Yeah.
would, morph into what it's turning into. So that's
And
been
it's
really
amazing.
exciting.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing. And I have to say that, like, first of all, our coaches are incredible, right? Like, because every single coach in our program has gone through the program and had this
yeah.
transformation experience and they get it. Like, get it. But then we also, like I said, took you through this like very intense training and where you had to do practice coaching and take a test and like go through this a lot of additional knowledge and education. And so there our coaches are so well versed, like I think do a better job than I even could have done. I mean, obviously I'm only one person, so I can't do everything all the time, but I don't even like think that I even hold a candle to the rest of our coaching team. Like
It's incredible.
it's
It's an incredible
amazing.
team.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's an incredible team. And so it's fun to be able to see that. I mean, I told you guys when we started the first coaching session, I'm like, I want an army. I want an army of women who have been there and who have done this to help change the world, because I believe that we can change the world through helping women transform their health. And we need it more than ever. Like when you look at the stats of the obesity epidemic in this country, and then you look at big food and big pharma and all the craziness and stuff that's going on, we're going to do this. We're going to help because it's transformative. Like you said, it's freedom for your life. And I'm just like so grateful that we have such an amazing team. It really is. And like you said, we are making some really cool changes to the program, not to the actual content of the program, but
Right.
in the way that we deliver it, so that it's not overwhelming at all. Because I think that's the thing. Like you get so excited and you're like, you want to tell everybody
Yeah.
everything all at
Yeah.
once, but it's a lot of information. And so now we have it like very broken up into like, you're just going to do this, and then you're just going to do this, and then you're just going to get this, and then you're just going to get this. And then you just start to build on it. And because it's a journey, it's a lifelong journey. And if you expect it to happen all at once, that's when it's like it just becomes overwhelming, and then you give up because you get overwhelmed, and we don't want anybody to do that. So yeah, I'm
It's
excited.
amazing because people get so militant about it, and I'm coaching in the platinum group. So I have a cohort of clients and
Yeah.
people sending me information, and they're like, okay, and so I did this and this and this and this. And then I'll start responding to that message. And then they'll be like, oh, and this was my number. Oh, and I did have a vodka and soda. Oh, and I did do this, and maybe should I not have done this? And they're like trying to just take it all in, and it's a lot. And so I think to hold back some of that, I think will be
Yeah.
helpful for people. I always really feel for somebody who begins to have health issues in their life, but they're a banker, and they don't have that knowledge. And that's what's so amazing in the group of coaches. I mean, we have some really, really knowledgeable people there with interesting backgrounds. And there's a lot to learn, but that I think a lot of people go through life and never have that privilege of learning a lot in a really supportive environment.
Yeah. 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 It is. And I think that that's the approach that I think and you'd probably agree with this, that just in our program, right? Like it's a lifestyle. It's not like all or nothing. I mean, and there are some programs out there that are, maybe teach some similar stuff to what we do and talk about similar things, because it is the way. But I think there's a way to do it and live your life. I think there's a way to do it and enjoy your life. And I think that we do a really good job of balancing those two, of like, yes, you can improve your health, you can lose the weight, you can have all of these wonderful things happen for you, and you can still like be a normal person.
You can
and
still go to a birthday party.
yes,
You can still
go on
eat at your
vacation.
daughter's graduation party.
Yes, exactly.
You can still
It's
have a cocktail. That's what
still
I
have
was
a
telling my
piece of
client.
pie when you go
Yeah,
to the Elva
yeah.
Diner.
That's what I was telling my client this week. I said, are you drinking? Like she was kind of stuck and trying to figure out because she felt like she was doing all these things. But then it was like, just like all of us, you have to write it down and it's a come to Jesus moment. And she's like, oh, and I did this and I did this. And so it's like I said, I love to have a cocktail, but no, that then you're
Yeah,
gonna, kind of put the brakes on just for that day. And so, you want
yeah,
to weigh that with how good was that cocktail?
right.
But,
Exactly.
but yeah,
Exactly.
you still live your life, and nobody's going to be successful with any program. I mean, you could lose 100 pounds. Nobody's going to be successful with something that they can't enjoy for
Yeah.
the long haul.
Right. It's so true. So true. And I love that we take that approach. Well, Tammy, it was so great to talk with you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. So excited to have you as a coach in our program. And yeah, we'll be seeing a lot more of you, I'm sure. So thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. Have a great day and
You too.
enjoy that new spot you're in.
Thank you. Don't you just love Tammy's story? It's so good and so inspiring. And I just have to say this, if you are ready to see the same kind of success in our program, then I really encourage you to check out our free training. It's called Healthy, Happy, and Free, and it's really good. It's really in depth. It'll walk you through the process of how our program actually works and what you could do to get started, and then show you how to take the next steps. And you can find it, once again, it's free at thinlicious.com/training. Once again, that's thinlicious.com/training. And that brings me to the end of this bonus episode, but I will be back with another new episode very soon.